Mr. Lundquist, first, thanks so much for taking a minute to speak with me, and thank you also for taking the time to come to our campus here and speak to all the students and about your experiences. Obviously, this is not something you have to do.
No, no.
Why is it important to you to
Well,
speak to young students?
it's very important to me to speak to young people who have aspirations like mine, who are filled with hope and an attitude of expectation for the future. And if I can pass along what my experiences have been across almost three generations now, I welcome that opportunity. Whenever I'm asked to speak to college kids, college students, young men and women, I'll do it. And I've done the same sort of thing across the country. I've done it at Penn State, I've done it at North Texas State, Texas. So this is the second time actually I've done it here. But fortunately it was 10 years ago, so we've got a brand new group of people who are listening.
You were recently at the Masters, so during the football off season, you certainly don't just take a few months off. You've always got something going on.
Well, it used to be year-round, and the company's been very gracious in their allowance of me to have some time off. I was the 1A basketball announcer, so the minute we finished with Army-Navy, I'd start doing college basketball, and I did that all the way through. And then I used to do all of our golf, too. So in recent years, as my age increased and my desire to get on airplanes decreased, I asked for and was granted time off. So I'm now working roughly 7 months a year, and I obviously do the NCAA tournament, a couple of games running up to it, but I don't have to go to East Lansing or West Lafayette in January. Yeah, is it ever? And then I don't do all of our golf anymore. I do the Masters and the PGA. I miss doing Pebble Beach. I don't miss doing the John Deere Classic. So I've got much of the summer off as well.
Now, obviously, you're the 16th hole of the Masters. A lot of fireworks there this year.
There were.
Tell me about that.
Well, I've never seen it happen before. I have seen 2 holes in one. In one round, one day. Well, no, actually, 2 holes in one in the 4 days. And I did see back in 04, 12 years ago, 2 in the same round. But what happened on Sunday, the final round this year, first of all, Ian Poulter was in the 3rd pairing off the tee. So I was climbing into the tower when he was hitting his tee shot at 16, that close. And they always do set up the whole location on Sunday so that it is accessible, because we've now had 17 aces at 16 over the years. But to have 3 like we did, it started kind of quietly with Shane Lowry because he wasn't in contention. Then it happened 2 groups later with Davis Love. And again, he wasn't in contention, but he is as beloved as anybody who plays in that event. So the reaction was sensational. And then we wind up with Louis Oosthuizen with the Ricochet Romance. He bounces one off and it goes in. It was unbelievable.
Obviously, an incredible thing to witness.
Well, it was, because the odds are that, like at the 6th hole, which I also call, it's a little more difficult, but there have only been 5 since the tournament started in 1934. So to have 3 and then to have the last, and then we also had Matt Kuchar chipping in, and it wasn't exactly like Tiger in 05, but it was close enough that it reminded us of Tiger in 2005.
Looking forward to football season. Obviously, spring practice going on now. Kirby Smart, the new coach at the University of Georgia. How do you see that transition from Mark Richt to Kirby Smart playing out in his first year here? What do you expect?
Well, I think the expectation level is off the charts because there has been a regime change, and Mark has moved on to Miami, and Kirby is here, and that enhances the level of excitement and anticipation. And I do think that he is going to be a very successful head coach at Georgia. I just hope that fans temper their enthusiasm with some degree of realism. And I will tell you this, at CBS, we want Georgia to succeed. We need them to succeed. like we need Florida to succeed and Tennessee. We need some battles in the East that we really haven't had. So I think Kirby Smart's a great choice. I think he was patient and waited until the right opportunity came along. I think he's going to do well.
Were you surprised when UGA made the move?
Well, not really. You know, we've been around the program, all of us at CBS who do college football have, to know that Mark Richt, despite being one of the nice guys in the business, was on kind of shaky ground, that the alumni base, the fan base was getting a little edgy. So no, I wasn't shocked when the change was made.
Any games that you've already marked on your calendar for this year as ones you're really hoping you get to call or really looking forward to calling?
Well, I'd love to do Georgia-Tennessee here. I think we might. I think we're also going to do Alabama at Ole Miss, and that all of a sudden has become a really must-see game. Sure. I don't know. I know what we're doing the first 3 weeks. It hasn't been announced yet, so I better shut up. But I won't see you.
You can tell us. That's fine. Go ahead.
But you know, you could almost look at each weekend. We get the first pick, and then we've got a doubleheader weekend, and we've got a primetime game. I'm going to be surprised, and it has not. This is not one of the choices yet, but we've done Alabama, LSU for the last 5 years, yeah, and it always pays off. So that's the first week in November. I mean, we're looking way ahead. But we always, I mean, to have a game in Baton Rouge this year, to have a nighttime game there. First of all, the fans are happy because we didn't move them to the afternoon. They don't like us when we do a 2:30 game. They really like us when we do a primetime game.
Another game you guys pretty much always do is Georgia-Florida,
right,
and that one does not always come through for you.
No, it doesn't, and that is a contractual obligation, by the way. When the new contract extension was agreed upon with the SEC and CBS, it was stipulated that they will not play Georgia-Florida at night and that we would do the game. So that's the one that we can circle every year and know that we're going to be in Jacksonville.
I want to talk about nicknames for a second. Yours is Uncle Verne,
right?
Affectionately.
Right,
yep. Throughout the sports broadcasting industry and just by fans. What do you think that says about your on-air persona?
Well, I can tell you who first used it in print or actually online was Spencer Hall at Every Day Should Be Saturday. And back then he was writing under a pseudonym. I can't even remember what, Orville something. Agricultural Secretary. Anyway, Spencer Hall's the guy. And I read it and I kind of smiled. And I welcome it because to me, it's a connotation of warmth, and I don't think it was said sarcastically. And now it's been kind of used by a variety of people, online, in print, on the air, and I take it as an acknowledgement of some of my person being acceptable.
Well, and I think you'd find a lot of agreement on that. You're, as was mentioned a few minutes ago, going to receive an Emmy, Lifetime Achievement Award for Sports. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
This is a huge honor, obviously. Is there anything left for you to do in your career? Anything you want to accomplish before you do retire?
No, I want to go quietly into that gentle night. Not rage as I scream and am thrown away. No, not really. I mean, the obvious answer is, gosh, I would have loved to have done 10 Super Bowls like Pat Summerall did. It wasn't in the cards. And that's the most obvious thing. But listen, I've been at CBS now since '82. I've been in the SEC for 17 years. I've seen this sport, which essentially is a regional sport, become nationally prominent because of the excellence of play in the SEC. And coincidentally, I think we do a pretty good job of presenting this, whether you're in Portland, Maine or Portland, Oregon. And the BCS helped us too, because all of a sudden, and I was not a big BCS fan, but it made every game in every part of the country relevant. And that was particularly helpful in the SEC with the rise of the quality of play. And so to have led this package, that's, yeah, I'll take that any day. I really don't have any regrets. Young people like yourself will say, what are you most proudest of? I'm 75 years old and I've survived. I'm still employed. And I don't say that sarcastically. This is a tough pool in which to swim. And so to still be employed and get a paycheck is pretty nice.
Absolutely. And then I'll let you go on this. Out of all the Georgia games that you've called, do you have a favorite moment?
Yeah, I do, and it's on the road. It wasn't here. It was the 2002 game when David Green hit Michael with the 19-yard pass, and they won. And the two Davids were particular favorites of mine. And I see David Green more than I do.
That was in Auburn, correct?
Yes, it was in Auburn. And it was 4th and 19, and they broke through and won. It had been so long for Georgia. Then you remember the game here when Mark Richt called timeout that he didn't have. That was before you got here. But that's where the word inexplicable came into our lexicon, because that's what I said when he called timeout.
Well, Mr. Lundquist, thank you so much, A, for taking the time to come here to this campus, and B, for taking the time to speak to me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you so much.